Hello everyone, my name is Mr. Rusco and I am one of the Vice Principals at Melksham Oak, and I'm also a geography teacher. And the idea of this session is to give you an idea of what to expect in the geography lesson and some of the things we do at Melksham Oak in the geography department. So today we're going to look at where do people live, and our target that we're going to set ourselves is to explain why lots of people live in some places and not many people live in other places. So we'll start our lesson today by looking at this intriguing map of the world. So as you can see, this map shows the world at night. Now, some of you might know why, and you might want to email me or contact the school and give me the answer to this, why this map has had to be edited a little bit. Why is it impossible to have a picture of the world like this at the same point in time? But let's have a look. And what does it show us? It shows us the amount of light coming from the Earth at night. Street lights or lights from houses. And you can see that there are some places like the UK and Europe and America. You've got parts of Brazil here. You've got India. You've got Japan here. Some parts of Australia that create a lot of light. That means that there's lots of electricity being used. There's lots of houses, lots of street lights. And you've got other places in the world that have not much electricity at all. And that might be because there's less people living there. And so look here where we've got the Sahara Desert. Now, not many people live in the Sahara Desert, so therefore there's not many street lights or houses with lights on. Now, another question that we might look at another time, and that's another time I use this map, is maybe there are some places where lots of people live, but they can't afford the lighting. So it doesn't give you a definite idea of where people live and where people don't. There are some places that will be in darkness but have plenty of people there, but it gives you a general idea. It gives you a general idea that the world's population, us, don't all evenly live in this world. There are some places where there are lots of people and other places where there are very few. So let's look at two places close to us. You have London, where of course there are lots and lots of people living in a relatively small place. And below you have Salisbury Plain, just south of Melksham, where there's very few people. So two places that are not that far apart is very different. You could be there out in Salisbury Plain and not see anyone or hear anyone, not hear any traffic, not hear any noise. And then you could make the short drive to London and suddenly there'll be lots of people around you and lots of cars and a much more busier place. So let's introduce a little bit of geography and some key words that we're going to be using today. So population distribution describes where people live, like that map was doing on the slide we just looked at. A sparsely populated place is somewhere where very few people live, e.g. Salisbury Plain. A densely populated place is somewhere where a lot of people live, e.g. London. Can you think of a place that's sparsely populated? Can you think of another example that's densely populated? What about Melksham? Would we say Melksham is densely populated or sparsely populated? What about where you live? Is it densely populated or sparsely populated? So those are two really important words that we use when we're talking about population in geography. So here's a task for you. Some of the reasons why a place might be sparsely populated or densely populated. So we know what each of these areas is, but now do we know why? Why do some places have lots of people living in it, densely? Why do some places have very few people living in it, sparsely? Look at the list on the left, pause this presentation and decide which ones describe a densely populated place and which ones describe a sparsely populated place. So for example, the first one, flat land. Does that mean lots of people would live there? Does it encourage lots of people to live there? Or does it discourage people to live there? What would flat land, what impact would that have on whether many people live there? Okay, so hopefully you have made your list and you've decided whether it's sparsely or densely. So let's go through it then. Flat land, we talked about this one at the start. So flat land would encourage people to live there. It's much easier to build on flat land. You imagine trying to build on steep land. It'd be much harder to build the houses. It'd be much harder to get them, to get the diggers up there and to get the builders up there. Generally, densely populated places are built on flat land. So mountains, well, mountains, the opposite, that's going to discourage people to live there. It's harder to live on mountains. They're colder. It's harder to grow crops. It's harder to build buildings. So we'll be sparsely populated there. Deserts, really hot, really tough to live in a desert, not much water. Hence why not many people live there. Hence why it's sparsely. Good farming. It might be good farming because there's good rich soil, good flat land, easy to grow crops. So the soil's very good. So if you've got a really good food supply, more people are going to live there. They'll want to live there because they can make their living out of farming. They can provide for their families out of the farmland. If you have lots of housing, then more people are going to live there. People will go where the houses are. So it'll be densely populated. Job opportunities. If there's lots of jobs for somewhere like London, more people are going to live there. So it'll be densely populated. Dense forest. It's hard to live in dense forest. It's hard to have transport links. It's hard to get there. So therefore, it'll be sparsely populated. Good transport links. If you've got good roads, an airport, railways, that means there'll be more businesses there. That means there'll be more shops there. So that means there'll be more jobs there. So more people will want to live there. So it'll be densely populated. Deep, rich soil. Deep, rich soil makes farming easier. So more people will live there. You don't want to live somewhere where you can't grow crops and live. Unreliable water supply. Of course. You need water to survive. There's an unreliable water supply. Not many people are going to live there, so it'll be sparsely populated. Thin, poor soils. The same with deep, rich soil. If you have soils very poor, then you can't grow crops. People won't live there. Poor farming is linked to those thin, poor soils, isn't it? Again, if you haven't got much ability to grow crops, you're not going to live there, so it'll be sparsely populated. Lots of schools. If there's lots of schools, people want to live there. They want people want to live near the schools so their children, get a good education. And lots of hospitals. More people will move to an area if there's good healthcare there. You can support more people, so therefore it's densely populated. So let's look at our list again and let's try and add physical or human. Two more geography words you might have heard of at school, but two words that we use a lot of, certainly. So there are two types of geography. There's a geography of the physical geography, which is anything that's natural, anything that we humans haven't built or made. So coasts, rivers, the sea is physical geography. Human geography is anything that we've created or influenced. So human geography would be things like transport links. What I want you to do now is look back through our list and work out whether the factors are physical geography factors or human physical factors. Keep looking at the definition so you know which one you're looking for. Okay, so have you done it? So flat land, of course, we don't create the land. That's physical. That's physical because it's naturally flat or naturally mountains are naturally made, so they're both physical geography. Deserts are naturally made, so it's physical geography. Good farming, how rich the soil is a physical factor. Lots of housing, we make housing, humans make housing, so it's human geography. Job opportunities they're made by humans, so it's human geography. Dense forest is a physical geography thing. Forests are naturally made. Although you could say that we play a part in if we cut down the forest. So you may have an argument if you say it's human geography as well. We'd have to have a debate about that. We'd have a debate about that in class. Good transport links, on human geography things. Deep rich soils, a physical geography thing. Reliable water supplies, a physical geography thing. If there's a good river nearby, there's a fresh water nearby. If there's a spring nearby, that's physical geography. Thin poor soils, again, is physical geography. Unless maybe you might argue with me that the thin soils might have been exhausted by over-intense farming. Again, we can have that debate in class. Poor farming, physical geography. Again, the conditions are physical farming, but then physical geography. Sorry, but there might be human geography factors playing a part. There might not have been enough investment in the area, the farming. And then schools and hospitals are both human geography. So all the time when we're in Melksham Oak and we're doing geography, we're always thinking about the physical and human geography. What's the difference? So hopefully you now know the difference between physical and human geography. You can talk about the difference. So when you're out and about, look around the world around us. Geography is all around us. Is it physical geography or is it human geography? Okay, so now it's your turn. So I've explained why people live in some places. There's lots of people living in places. In other places, there's very few people living in places. We've introduced some geography keywords, which is one of our targets today. We've introduced the word population distribution. We've talked about physical geography. We've talked about human geography. We've talked about sparsely populated areas. We've talked about densely populated areas. I want you to now do an extended piece of writing to show me what you've learnt. Okay, I've put a paragraph there, but actually you can have several paragraphs if you really want to. So why are there some areas that are sparsely populated and why are some densely populated? Use some of the key words that we've used today. Can you give some places? You might set the piece of paper right up, like I set the lesson up by looking at Salisbury Plain and London. Maybe you'd come up with 2 places and explain if it's sparsely or densely populated, and then give some of the reasons and link it, or whether it's a human geography or a physical geography. I hope you enjoyed doing that activity, and if you want to email it into Melksham Oak, I'm more than happy to look at it and give you some feedback. So that is a very quick guide to what a geography lesson would look like, how we'd set it up. So we'd explain something, then we'd model something, I'll give you some examples, and then we'd practice what we've learned and demonstrate it. And then if I was in front of you, I'll give you some feedback on it as well. Really looking forward to seeing you next year in geography, or the year after, whatever year you're in. I'm sure you'll really enjoy geography lessons. You've got Miss Dole, who's the head of geography. You've got Mr. Wallace and Mr. Thomas, who also teach geography, and they are great. And you'll really enjoy geography when you come to our school. Thank you.